after getting married. I only then learned that my husband had a deeply loved ex-girlfriend. On the night before her wedding day, she drove all night and gave herself to him, just to bid farewell to her youth. When I discovered this, my husband begged me not to expose it, saying her life would be ruined otherwise. While scrolling through social media, I stumbled upon a heart-wrenching bittersweet ending love story shared by a blogger named Late Arrival. She recounted her 6-year relationship with her ex-boyfriend. Their past resembled a real-life drama. He was handsome, wealthy, and academically gifted. She was ordinary-looking and came from an average family. Yet none of that stopped him from loving her fiercely. He fought for her, skipped classes, changed his college plans, and did every reckless thing imaginable for her. But ultimately, they parted ways due to vehement opposition from his mother. After breaking up, they moved apart, deleted all contact information, and lost touch completely. However, the girl never truly moved on. She had planned to remain single forever, believing no one could compare to the dazzling heights of their love. As years passed and age caught up with her, her parents grew increasingly anxious about her future. This year, her mother was diagnosed with cancer. Before passing away, her dying wish was to see her daughter settle down. Unable to defy her mother's expectations, she reluctantly agreed to marry someone casually chosen. 3 days later, she was set to become another man's bride. After much deliberation, she decided on one last act of madness, driving nonstop for a day and night across half of China to reach her ex-boyfriend's city. Dressed in their old couple's outfit and wearing the bun hairstyle he once adored, she called him, "I just want to see you one last time, hold you once, to properly say goodbye to my youth." How profoundly moving. If only the protagonist weren't my own husband. Today was supposed to be a joyous occasion for me. I just found out I was pregnant. For 3 years since marrying He Chaoyuan, I'd postponed having children while focusing on my career. He'd always respected my decision, but 3 months ago, during his birthday celebration, he suddenly looked at me with solemn earnestness and made a wish. He wanted a child. At 32, successful in his career, he felt mentally and financially ready to be a responsible father. "I'll dedicate myself wholeheartedly," he vowed. "Give our baby all the love I lacked growing up. Let them grow freely, without pressure. Watching them flourish will feel like watching myself grow up again." Turning to me, eyes dark and swirling with longing, he asked softly, "Can you grant me this wish?" My heart clenched, part tenderness, part numbness, tinged with faint pain. Raised in a single-parent home where his father was absent and his mother strict, their relationship had always been strained. When he spoke of craving a child of his own, how could I not be moved? Besides, at nearly 30, my career stable, it seemed right timing. From that day onward, we actively tried. Every step felt like a shared hunger for new life. Bursting with excitement after confirming the pregnancy at the clinic, I rushed home to tell him. He replied instantly, "Got it," then added playfully, "Is it the kind of surprise I hope?" When I teased him to keep it secret, he sent a fireworks emoji, clearly already guessing. Though slightly disappointed my surprise wasn't fully unexpected, I reminded myself this proved how eagerly we both awaited this child. Returning home radiant, I received his call shortly afterward. Urgent work demanded his presence out of town for several days. His apology sounded genuine. As founder of his company, sudden trips were rare but not unheard of. Offering to pack his bags, I was met with hesitation before he declined. "Office supplies cover basics. Stay cool. It's scorching outside." His final word, guai, good girl, sent an odd thrill through me. In our 4 years together, 1 year dating, 3 married, he'd always called me Lin Xiaojia, Miss Lin, initially, then Ping / even post-marriage. I'd half-joked we lacked pet names like other couples, chalking it up to his reserved nature. Steady as bedrock, I never expected volcanic passion, until now. That rare warmth in his voice tonight sparked quiet delight. Even when he couldn't return immediately to celebrate our news, I didn't suspect anything amiss. Settling in comfortably, I cooked myself a healthy meal. Later, bored and browsing social media, I saw that post, geotagged outside my husband's office building. Still unaware of the connection, I almost shared it with him jokingly about office gossip, but soon after, I came across a second photo shared by the girl, a selfie cropped at the waist. She wore a t-shirt adorned with a small bear motif, accompanied by text reading, "Back in high school's arts festival, our class performed a skit. The teacher cast us as lovers. These costumes were bought with class funds. Back then, though I liked him, I didn't know if he felt the same. Wearing this shirt, standing face to face, I couldn't even meet his eyes." Later, when we started dating, he told me he'd been just as terrified to look at me. "I've kept this shirt ever since. Today might be the last time I wear it." Though her face was obscured, I recognized that shirt shirt instantly. I'd seen it before, or rather exactly like it, a blue top with a bear print, tucked away in my husband's closet. My image of him had always been that of an elite professional, impeccably dressed even in casual moments. Finding such a whimsical piece had struck me as odd. When I'd remarked on it once, "You own something this cute." Who knew? He'd snatched it away brusquely, claiming it belonged to his cousin, who used to live with us. "I'll give it back to him later," he'd said smoothly, expression unreadable. Naturally, I hadn't pressed further, but now I recalled vividly, never again had I glimpsed that shirt in our home afterward. Staring at the screen, those two identical bears, one in her photo, one once hanging in his wardrobe, seemed to mock me, screaming how colossally foolish I'd been. My hand drifted instinctively to my lower abdomen. In that instant, everything clicked into place, like why He Chaoyuan had always treated me with such unwavering gentleness. For years since we met, from the day he pursued me, he'd presented himself as supremely self-sufficient, chivalrous, courteous, meticulous about holidays and anniversaries, gifts tailored to my tastes. Yet he'd never called me a pet name, never worn matching clothes with me, rarely held my hand in public. When I'd complained, he'd gaze at me helplessly, apologizing. My upbringing, intimate dynamics make me uneasy. Closeness feels discomfiting. His tone had been so lost, so contrite, like a child caught off guard, that my heart had melted. After that, I'd stopped demanding anything that made him uncomfortable. Turns out, what truly unsettled him wasn't intimacy, but me. Yet he'd been the one to chase me first. Tears blurred my vision. Indignation threatened to shatter my composure. Still, I forced myself to call his assistant coldly. "Has Mr. He left the office?" I asked. "Why isn't he home yet?" The assistant, utterly oblivious, replied, "The drive takes at least 40 minutes, ma'am. He left 10 minutes ago. Please wait." This man had worked alongside He Chaoyuan for 8 years, his most trusted confidant. If he didn't know about any business trip, then there was no trip. Ice flooded my veins. For the first time, I understood. My life was constructed on a monumental lie. Taking deep breaths, I returned to the blogger's profile. Below her selfie, hundreds waited for updates. Comments poured in. Some saw themselves in her despair, wishing they'd her courage. Others urged her to move forward. Forcing fate wasn't meant to be. Scattered voices condemned her lack of morals. "You're marrying someone else. What about your fiancé?" But these were drowned out by empathy. "She just wants closure. Isn't seeing him one last time human?" My fingers trembled as I typed. Does her love justify destroying another's peace? Did she consider how the current partner feels? My words ignited fury. Strangers lashed out. Have some decency. They merely met. How does that invade anyone's life? Unless you're the current yourself. Biting my tongue against blurting I am, reason prevailed. Tipping off suspects would jeopardize everything. Within minutes, over 200 replies flooded in. Then she responded, "We met." Both cried, "Thanks for caring. My principles remain. I won't harm anyone." We agreed. After one final request, I leave. Goodbye forever. Asked what request? She posted a new image. His hands on the steering wheel of our car. He's driving me to the Ferris wheel, where we first dated. I came from nothing, felt unworthy, hesitated to accept his proposal. But that day, he took her to ride the Ferris wheel. Inside the cabin, he held her hand for the first time, urging her to gaze at the vast sky and drifting clouds. "I may not solve all your problems," he'd said, "but with me, you're utterly free." Those words had sealed her heart. 6 years together, he'd given her everything within his power. They'd traveled extensively, skydiving, rock climbing, scuba diving. Fragile as she was, his presence made her fearless. Despite his privileged background, he cooked for her. During her period, he even washed her underwear. He constantly told her she deserved the world, pushing her to become a better version of herself. Even after their breakup, she harbored no bitterness, only self-loathing for being unworthy of him. She envied his wife intensely. Elite education, beauty, success, everything she'd dreamed of. Meeting her, she realized she had no right to jealousy. Only someone so flawless could stand beside him. All she had left were memories. Netizens wept over her poignant writing, calling her virtuous and tragic. But fury consumed me. Did she honestly expect gratitude for validating my husband's saintliness? The thought of her stalking our life repulsed me, nauseating, like a shadow creature feasting on our privacy. How dare she reduce me to a backdrop for their romance? He Chaoyuan had chased me first. This bastard had hidden his past, reducing me to a prologue in his grand love story. Sudden revelations flooded my mind. Our first year together, when I'd invited him to a new amusement park, he'd refused coldly, calling it childish. I loved extreme sports too, yet he never joined. Trips meant resorts, not adventures. He claimed exhaustion demanded passive rest. He avoided cooking entirely, citing kitchen aversion. Now I knew why. He hadn't disliked those things. I hadn't been worth the effort. His passion belonged to her. I got an empty shell. Divorce was non-negotiable. Time for proof. Our city had one Ferris wheel. Parking there, I spotted his car instantly. Mine followed discreetly. Sunset bathed the wheel in golden light. Ironic, since its promise of happiness excluded me. Texting him, stomach upset. Can you cut the trip short? Last chance. Silence answered. As dusk fell, they emerged hand in hand. My camera rolled in 4K clarity, capturing their cinematic reunion. He opened her door. She kissed his forehead. His body tensed, rattled by the touch. She laughed, waved goodbye, tears streaming. He stood frozen, watching her leave with that lost, shattered look I knew too well. My fists clenched. Predictably, he ran after her. After struggles, he embraced her, kissing her like treasure recovered. Their intensity suggested triumph over society, over guilt, a perfect happily ever after. But it wasn't over. Post-kiss, he bundled her into the car. Tailpipe hot, I pursued. Expecting a hotel, they entered instead a rundown residential complex. Old buildings, open access. My car trailed slowly. They parked, vanished into a unit block. Standing below, lights flickered on the top floor. Rage screamed to kick down the door. Pummel them both. Sanity intervened. Why bring her here? Instinct whispered secrets lay behind that door. I messaged my closest friend Yi Qing. Hurry, bring backup. War's imminent. Alone, I might not outmatch 2 against 1. Yi Qing asked me, what are you doing in that neighborhood so late at night? You're not going to catch old he cheating, are you? She was joking. My tears came crashing out. Impossible to hold back. Yi Qing's voice shot up an octave. Damn, did I actually hit the mark? I swallowed the sobs and said, yes, I'm catching a cheater. Are you coming? Yi Qing went stone cold calm. Stay right there. Don't do anything reckless. Wait for me, no matter what. I hung up and cried my heart out in the dim car. Saying I wasn't hurt would be a lie. My childhood had been a mess. When I was 6, my dad cheated and divorced my mom. At 12, mom died of cancer, and I became homeless. I'd always craved the warmth of a real family that He Chaoyuan once made me believe I'd found love. My first love. We met through work, tall, handsome, respectable job. When he chased me, it seemed wholehearted. 2-hour waits downstairs just to drive me home. Dutch roses flown in daily. Foodie tours every weekend. Hot water bottles ready on my period. Now I know those loving details were just careless habits. He shouldn't have lied. I never wanted to trade marriage for profit. I studied hard, worked harder, all to avoid my mother's fate. I wanted to choose, not be chosen. The first time I read the phrase, live as if your life depends on it, I felt struck. Imagine dangling over a cliff by one rope, pulling your own hair to keep from falling. Pain doesn't matter, survival does. Knowing I had no safety net, I chased happiness with that same desperation. When I met He Chaoyuan, I thought fate had finally given me a break. The day we got our marriage license, I took him to Mom's grave and said, Mom, you can rest now. I found lifelong happiness. He was the one who shattered that dream. I decided this would be my last moment of weakness. After tonight's tears, I'd turn into an indestructible warrior. When Yi Qing arrived, I'd already pulled myself together. I showed her a long dormant social media account. Late coming girl. She hadn't posted since going upstairs with he. 2 exes. Back in the place where it all began. Then into a private room. Every adult knows what that means. Why Yi Qing hugged me. I know nothing I say can erase the pain, but I'm here. Whatever you decide, I'm on your side. My eyes burned again. I felt lucky. At least I still had a real friend. That we went upstairs together. I ordered takeout to the address. When the delivery guy arrived, I tipped him 200 yuan and explained the situation. No matter what, get that door open. Pretending to be from the neighborhood committee doing a housing survey, he rang the bell. He Chaoyuan opened the door wearing our bear print couple hoodie. Yi Qing shoved past him and pulled me inside. The flat was cozy, lived in, far too lived in. The first thing I saw was a photo wall by the dining table. Dozens of pictures of he and a girl. Front and center, she wore a simple dress and a paper tissue veil, gazing at him with a love so thick you could drown in it. I remembered asking for a photo wall in our own home and being told it would clash with the decor and that I don't like pictures anyway. He never took casual photos with me, except the wedding shoot. Yet here he was, documenting every breakfast with this girl. Oddly, I didn't feel heartbreak, just disgust. Worse, the bedroom door was wide open, the room a mess, the air thick with the unmistakable stench of fresh sex. My stomach lurched. I bent and vomited. His face changed and he reached for me. I jerked back, terrified his dirty hands would touch me. Water was running in the bathroom. A woman's voice called, "Who's there?" Yi Qing didn't hesitate. She kicked the door open. Late coming girl screamed. Yi Qing had been filming from the moment moment we entered. Now she shoved the camera right into the girl's face. President he, quite the hobby. Your wife just found out she's pregnant and you're already keeping a mistress. He lunged for the camera. I grabbed his arm. He shoved me hard. My head cracked against the floor, and a sharp pain exploded behind my eyes that my head hit the corner of the table. When I touched it, my fingers came away bloody. Chaoyuan didn't even notice. He was busy snatching a bath towel and draping it over his ex-girlfriend. She looked terrified, sobbing prettily against his chest. His face was livid. While shielding his little treasure, he barked at Yi Qing, who was still filming. Who let you in? This is breaking and entering. Get out now or wait for my lawyer's letter. For the first time in years, I felt that old feeling return, like the day my mom caught my dad cheating, and he dragged her 20 feet beside his car to protect the mistress. I'd been a kid trailing behind, hearing mom's heart-rending wail, realizing the man in the car wasn't my father. He was a beast. Back then I'd wanted to become fire and burn the world down. It took me many years to smother that urge. Tonight it flared back to life that I grabbed the electric kettle on the table, twisted off the lid, and flung the scalding water at Chaoyuan. He shrieked like a frantic monkey and scurried around the room. That was only the beginning. I seized the projector's tripod, swung it sideways, and smashed everything in reach. Oak bookshelf, Nordic sideboard, crystal chandelier, every keepsake, every memory cup and plate, every figurine crash, clatter, smash. Amid that beautiful symphony of destruction I smiled that he stared at me, aghast. Have you lost your mind? Get out! The third miss, wrapped in the towel, wailed. Please stop. These are our memories. I grinned at them both, hoisted the projector above my head, and chased them around the wreckage. They darted and cowered like rats. Yi Qing stuck out a foot. Chaoyuan tripped. I pounced and drove my knee between his legs. He squealed like a stuck pig. The sound was music to my ears. I grabbed a handful of his hair and slapped him left, right, crisp, rhythmic. By the time he could think of fighting back, both cheeks were scarlet and swollen that I must have looked insane. I saw pure fear in his eyes. The third miss sobbed. Stop please, it's all my fault, not his. He looked at her with tender pity. It's not your fault, darling. Ha, such a noble, responsible man. He turned to me, disgust naked on his face. Lin Pingping, I thought you were sensible and well-mannered. Never imagined you were a shrew in private. Yi Qing spat in his face. A cheating scumbag lecturing us on manners? A sewer is cleaner than you. He ignored her and fixed on me. Have you been incited by her? Get a grip. Don't let her poison you. She's unmarried and jealous of your happiness. Have you considered how we end this mess? I laughed in his face. How to end it? Easy divorce. You idiot. I informed him my lawyer would deliver papers within 2 days. House, cars, savings, all mine. The original shares in his company we split 50-50. He sneered. On what grounds? I patted the camera. This footage. If I'm not mistaken, your dear ex sprinted from another city to sleep with you the night before our wedding. Once this goes public, whose IPO do you think will be derailed? Compared with your company's future, what I'm asking is pocket change. His color drained. Gold digger. I misjudged you. Misjudge me all you like. Now you can correct the mistake. Funny, you claim to love her so much, yet you never married her. Was it her low education, her plain looks, the fact she didn't match you, or simply that you thought she wasn't good enough? My words hit a nerve. Both their faces twisted. The third miss nearly jumped. Shut up. You know nothing about our past. You have no right. I finally looked her straight in the eye. Originally, I hadn't planned to target her. She might be cheap, but the man was cheaper. The contract was with him. If the dog hadn't licked the filth, none of this would exist. Yet since she insisted on volunteering for insults, I obliged that I looked at her with contempt. You flew 1,000 miles to deliver sex and put yourself in this pathetic position. Did it never occur to you that if this man truly loved you, he would have married you? In socialist New China, no external obstacle stops a wedding. He didn't marry you because he thinks you're not worthy. Alas, you can't wake someone pretending to be asleep. She clung to her fantasy and screamed back. What do you know? Someone born privileged, elite school, already standing in Rome. How could you understand the helplessness of us small people? Yes, what I did isn't respectable, but my love is noble, far nobler than a marriage measured in cash. You think you can look down on me? Like morning fungi ignorant of the lunar cycle, or cicadas oblivious to the changing seasons. What's the point of reasoning with a bug? I smirked. Yes, fine. I don't get it. Well then, wish you 100 years of blissful togetherness. Lock yourselves up forever, and never come out to disgust others again. After separating from Chaoyuan and Jiang Shanshan, Yi Qing asked me what I plan next? I knew she meant, what would I do about this child in my belly? I caressed my lower abdomen, resolve hardening despite the pain. Its father is trash. If I bring it into this world, it'll only grow up ashamed. The greatest self-awareness an adult can have is knowing not to carelessly bring a life into this world. After sleeping for a full day at home, I went to the hospital for an examination. The doctor told me it was a perfectly healthy embryo and asked if I'd made my decision clear. I said yes. Leaving the hospital, I received a call from He Chaoyuan, but I didn't answer. For the next week, he bombarded me with endless calls, all ignored. What could he possibly say? Begging forgiveness, spouting useless nonsense. Once I had my lawyer deliver the divorce papers to him, I scheduled the procedure. On the day of the surgery, I had Yi Qing arrange for someone to intercept He Chaoyuan in an alleyway and give him a beating. Though beating him wouldn't undo my losses, if I had to hurt, he'd damn well hurt too. That beating seemed to jolt him awake. Somehow, he tracked down which hospital I was in. When he burst into my room, I'd just been moved from recovery, still weak but outwardly stable. Seeing no visible crisis, he missed the signs. His face swollen and bruised, he lunged at my bedside, still fuming. The sight repulsed me. Drenched in cold sweat, I managed one question. Did you sign the divorce agreement? He reached for my hand. I yanked it away. Undeterred, he launched into his performance of devotion. Ping Ping, I know you're still furious about that day, but you've hit me, cursed me. Surely your anger's run its course? Admittedly, I still feel something for Shanshan, but our marriage? I took vows seriously from day one. She's just unresolved feelings. We both know there's no future there. That day, she wanted one last meeting before marriage. How could I not be moved? Momentary weakness. Forgive me, he droned on. We're adults. Everyone carries ghosts from the past. Just pretend you never knew. Sweep it under the rug. Why force everyone into this mess? My predictions were spot on. Too exhausted to listen further, I cut him short. The baby's gone. His face collapsed. You did what? Don't you understand how much I wanted this child? After this, there's no going back. He raged like a villain from a cheap drama. Such a tiny thing. Why won't you forgive? Everyone makes mistakes. Why can't you tolerate it? Grabbing my collar, he roared, veins bulging, face crimson with fury. In that moment, I believed he'd hit me if we weren't in a hospital, but I wasn't afraid. Staring him down, cold as ice. Save your putrid excuses for your precious lover. I'm not a garbage collector. You disgust me. Realizing he'd finally been unmasked as the trash he was, He Chaoyuan lost it entirely, shouting, spittle flying, Lin Ping Ping. You think leaving me will set you free? Without me, you've got nothing. Where will you go next? Your dad's house? Ha ha ha. Your stepmom will love watching you crawl back. Go ahead, make a fool of yourself. The whole world will laugh at you. Weakened as I was, his words ignited fresh fire. Only then did I grasp the calculated layers behind his choice to marry me. First, my credentials, looks, figure, education, income made him proud. Second, my family name. Though my parents divorced and I lived with mom, my father was the city's top official. Businessmen kowtowed at his name. He Chaoyuan leveraged that influence to secure deals. Third, my strained relationship with my father. He'd remarried and had another daughter, meant he faced zero obligations while exploiting my connection. Now his true colors showed. He'd assumed I had no backup, that he could manipulate me freely, but he misjudged me. Despite being crushed in body and soul, I deliberately slanted my eyes at him. The one who'll have nothing left, it's you. Since you brought up my dad and stepmom, let me enlighten you. These two people taught me one thing in life. Never wait around for someone else's salvation. My voice wasn't loud, but He Chaoyuan was stunned into silence. With a faint smile, I said, from the moment you betrayed me, I'd already planned every step of our divorce. Starting now, prepare yourself for hell. He Chaoyuan flew into a rage. Lin Ping Ping, how dare you deceive me? Never imagined you were so calculating, plotting this all along to grab my money. Turns out, his real fear was that I'd demand half his assets in the divorce. Pathetic. Instantly, I dialed Jiang Shanshan's number in front of him. Hello, is this Jiang Shanshan? He Chaoyuan's begging me not to divorce him. Let me send you the recording. Listen closely and judge for yourself. Is your great love worth a damn? Don't worry. Once he signs the papers, this trash is all yours. I hit send, forwarding the audio of He Chaoyuan's earlier tirade to Miss B aesthetic herself, Jiang Shanshan. At this maneuver, He Chaoyuan seethed, fists clenched, but I wasn't scared. I knew better than to provoke him in a hospital room rigged with cameras. Sure enough, Yi Qing and nurses soon rushed in, shooing him away. After he left, Yi Qing wept with sympathy. I shed no tears. Pretending otherwise would have been a lie. Adults pay for their choices. Picking the wrong husband isn't fatal. What kills you is refusing to admit it and stumbling deeper into ruin. Luckily, I had the courage to choose again. He Chaoyuan tried begging me several times afterward, forward, each time chased off by Yi Qing's fury. Finally, I cut him loose. Refused to sign? We'll settle this in court. The evidence I held over his head made him hesitate, and soon he caved. I walked away with a fortune, all joint savings, our 20 million euros marital home, and a third of his company shares. Oh, and that love nest he bought post-marriage? The very apartment he'd rented with Jiang Shanshan before proposing to me? Thank his nostalgia, I got half its value. Unwilling to sell, he scraped together cash to buy out my share. Outside the Civil Affairs Bureau, clutching our divorce decree, he spat curses, cursing the day I ever married a viper like you. I smiled sweetly, wishing you and your beloved a lifetime of bliss. His face turned green. Didn't he crave this outcome? Why the tantrum? Per our deal, I deleted all footage exposing his infidelity, his price for signing. Smart move. Without public humiliation, he'd keep his CEO title. Investors still trusted the facade. Frankly, I'd considered leaking those videos, until reason kicked in. My life's too precious to waste on garbage like him. Exposure would have dragged me into their mud. Plus, watching him unravel revealed truths I'd missed. When we met, his career was soaring. Roses, applause, adulation. Yet he chose me, the most advantageous partner, over his soulmate Jiang Shanshan. The polished gentleman mask slipped early. Beneath lay narcissism, volatility, and entitlement. He cheated, yet blamed me for unveiling it. Even in the hospital, he tried gaslighting me, until I revealed the abortion. His violent reaction confirmed he was a chameleon, capable of anything. Though tempted to ruin him utterly, I resisted. Cornered animals bite back. No need. Young as I am, my future's wide open. Best to sever ties, take half his wealth, and never look back. The settlement proceeded smoothly, until he showed up at my office, ranting, "Lin Pingping, you broke your word." Annoyed, I turned to leave, until he blocked my path, thrusting his phone at me. Play innocent? Fine. Explain this. Glancing at the photo, I burst out laughing. There, outside his office building, stood a white sedan draped in a crimson banner. "Thank you, Mr. Hsiao Yuan of Huixiang Company, for kissing my fiancé goodnight." Seems Jiang Shanshan's fiancé, somehow sensing betrayal from afar, had staged this masterpiece. Impressive creativity. Wonder how he knew. When I smiled, He Chaoyuan became even more certain that I was the mastermind behind the whole spectacle. Furious, he grabbed my collar. "You said you'd delete the video once you got the money. If you pull a stunt like this, how is my company supposed to go public?" I gave him a cool, thin smile. "So you thought that as long as the clip disappeared, no one would ever learn what you did? Why don't you ask your first love whether she's the one who leaked it?" In truth, I had no proof that Jiang Shanshan had exposed him, but I wanted to drive him frantic. Maybe he'd already suspected her. The moment I spoke, he shot me a vicious glare, then whipped out his phone as if to call her. Before he could dial, an old hand flashed in front of his eyes and delivered 2 ringing slaps. He thought I'd hit him. He was about to snarl, when the owner of the hand twisted his ear and lifted him half off the ground. The woman with the devastating entrance was none other than my former mother-in-law, Wen Shuxian, He Chaoyuan's own mother. She acted as if I were invisible and focused solely on pulverizing her son. Between blows she scolded, "Did I fart when I told you not to mess with that cheap tramp again? If you're with her, you've lost a mother. I'll die and take you with me. Don't you dare tell me she seduced you. Flies don't land on seamless eggs. You're the one who's cheap, throwing our family's money at her. I should never have given birth to you." It was the first time I'd heard Wen Shuxian string so many words together. In my memory, she was almost mute. 3 brief meetings in 3 years, each time a polite, distant smile, never an opinion on anything. I'd actually felt sorry for he once when he said she'd been too strict and they'd never bonded. Now looking at her contorted face, I realized his selfish, explosive temper was the mild version. His mother was a force of nature. Listening to her tirade, I pieced together the Banner saga, trying to win over her future mother-in-law early. Jiang Shanshan had gone straight to Wen Shuxian's hometown to make peace. 6 years earlier their relationship had ended only because one had forbidden it. Jiang assumed sincerity would melt the old grudge. Instead, Wen slapped her until her mouth bled, then marched to the Jiang house and broadcast the scandal to every neighbor. "Your daughter flew 1,000 miles to gift herself to my son and wreck his marriage. Shameless. If you want face, I'll give you face. I always said the Jiangs were small time, and your girl a brain-dead brother sucker. As long as I breathe, she'll never cross my doorstep." 6 years apart and still sniffing after my son? Call it love? Bullshit. She's after easy money. Coincidentally, Jiang's brand new fiancé was drinking with her father that very day. Despite her parents' frantic attempts to hush things up, he heard every word, flipped the table, and crowned Mr. Jiang with a beer bottle. The aggrieved fiancé then drove hundreds of miles to unfurl that giant banner. Though why why he'd bother was anyone's guess. It was no longer my concern that I turned to leave, but a burly man burst from the crowd and seized Wen Shuxian's wrist mid-slap. Wen looked up and delivered a line straight out of soap opera heaven. "You, what are you doing here?" The man's face was black with rage. "I'm here for compensation. Your big shot son slept with my fiancée, my woman, whom I've never even touched. You're his mother. Tell everyone how much you're going to pay me." The already explosive scene detonated again. When He Chaoyuan realized who the man was, his first instinct was to bolt, but the onlookers formed a human wall wherever he turned. The burly man milked the crowd's mood, even forcing out a tearful macho act. Cornered, he asked through gritted teeth, "How much do you want?" The man named an astronomical figure. His eyes bulged. "Why don't you just rob a bank?" The man had clearly studied rage literature. "Oh, when you were in bed it was great, love. Now that it's time to pay, love isn't so great? The price doesn't match your epic romance." Someone in the crowd shouted, "Still too low." Phones were everywhere. He Chaoyuan and Jiang Shanshan's love was about to be priced in real time on the internet. Amid the chaos I slipped away. After the story broke, sympathy flooded in, until word spread that the divorce had awarded me half of his fortune. Then sympathy curdled into envy. Exhausted, I requested a long leave from my company. The big boss approved without a word. Single and relieved, just as he'd texted me the moment he heard I was finally free. "You won't truly appreciate the joy of singlehood until you've gone through a divorce." I spent over a month in the Maldives, bathed in sea breezes and ocean waters every day, and soon underwent a complete transformation. It turns out, healing from heartbreak isn't that hard, as long as you're doing better than him. Every day, I received explosive gossip remotely from Yi Qing. After his scandal broke, and he fell out completely with his mother, He Chaoyuan finally decided to be true to himself. He publicly declared to the world that he loved Jiang Shanshan. They had missed each other for so long, but thankfully, her perseverance had made him realize his feelings. He wanted to marry her and spend his life with her. If their actions had hurt anyone, he sincerely apologized and offered to take responsibility. He emphasized that he had given most of his assets to me, his ex-wife, and would also help Jiang Shanshan return her bride price to her fiancé as compensation. However, love itself was innocent, and he hoped everyone would respect and bless them. Most netizens responded with respect, blessings, and even demands to lock them together. Of course, some were moved to tears, praising He Chaoyuan as a truly responsible man. He even gained a strange following of fans, though it's hard to describe them properly. But just as he began his high-profile pursuit of love, reality slapped him back. Jiang Shanshan's parents traveled thousands of miles to cause a scene at He Chaoyuan's company. Their demands were simple: a mere 1 million yuan in bride price and a director position for Jiang Shanshan's younger brother, Xiaoyong, within the company. "You love my daughter so much. Surely you can spare 1 million? Such a big company needs family support. Xiaoyong's the only brother she has. As her future brother-in-law, you can't just ignore him." Indeed, Mr. and Mrs. Jiang proved themselves masters of shameless behavior. Their relentless harassment thrust He Chaoyuan back into the trending topic list. Meanwhile, Jiang Shanshan stood by, powerless, crying constantly, hardly the bold, love-driven woman she'd once been. The farce ended with He Chaoyuan paying her parents 500,000 yuan and signing an agreement effectively severing ties with Jiang Shanshan. But the fallout didn't stop there. Investors lost faith in him, withdrawing funds en masse. His company's IPO prospects vanished overnight. This only confirmed my foresight. I'd sold my shares at rock bottom to another shareholder the moment I got them. That poor guy buying my stake? He's probably crying in the bathroom by now. While He Chaoyuan tanked, the internet hailed me as the lucky woman. People said blessed souls don't enter cursed homes. His career boomed while married to me, crumbled after the divorce. Who brought the luck? Obvious. When they learned I was a fund manager, everyone rushed to invest. By her funds, guaranteed profits. They practically begged me to come back to work. Naturally, I couldn't disappoint them. Soon after returning from vacation, sleek and confident, imagine bumping into Jiang Shanshan on my way home from work one evening. She looked nothing like a woman basking in love's glow, more like a shadow of exhaustion. Years older than when she chased him across provinces. She insisted we talk. "Sorry," I said, "my time's precious." As I brushed past, she rolled up her sleeve. Her arms were mottled purple and blue, bruises that made my blood run cold. Staring at her, stunned, she offered a bitter smile. "He did this." Jiang Shanshan poured out her hellish marriage, moving into the love nest He Chaoyuan bought, expecting bliss, instead finding nightmares. Her parents' endless extortion pushed him over the edge. He hit her brother, got arrested. When he got out of jail, she cooked him a feast, hung willow branches as per tradition to ward off bad luck, only for him to explode at the sight of those branches. My biggest bad luck? You. That was the first time he struck her. After that, he became possessed, anything less than perfect, and his fists flew. See, you're happy I got what's coming to me, she tearfully accused. My jaw dropped. You came all this way just to gloat, she faltered, stammering apologies. And no, I've paid for what I did. Please forgive me. Watching him suffer, I realized he never loved me. Not really. He loves you. He used to stand outside your building, too scared to go up. Seeing him like that, it hurts too much. I'm sorry. For both of you, all I can do is give him back to you. Standing there, staring at this pathetic creature, pitiable, contemptible, utterly repulsive, I finally understood why my ex-mother-in-law, when Xuxian, despised her so intensely. Like a slimy leech, she revolted me. Admittedly, her thoughts and actions were constrained by her background. Her dysfunctional family had never nurtured her with proper education, instead perpetually draining her resources. She was pitiable, yet at 32, having received higher education, she'd had countless opportunities to break free from both her toxic family and disastrous romance. But she chose not to. She surrendered her entire life to others. When her parents abandoned her, she clung to love. When men betrayed her, she sought self-destruction. She empathized with everyone who thrust her into life's abyss, except herself. When she spouted this absurdity to me with a sanctimonious glint in her eyes, as if her martyrdom were monumental, I wondered, how could anyone love someone who couldn't even cherish herself? I earnestly advised her to call the police, arrest that bastard, as my final plea, yet I didn't dial for her. Everyone must answer for their own fate. She never did. The last time I heard about He Chaoyuan wasn't through Yi Qing, but via headlines. He trended under legal crimes, tagged with one word, dismemberment. Yes, he murdered Jiang Shanshan. Not poison or strangulation, but methodical dismemberment. He hacked her body into pieces, boiled them, and fed them to stray dogs. Night garbage collectors stumbled upon the carnage and alerted authorities. According to the police affidavit, he confessed it was an impulse born of sleeplessness. He'd taken sleeping pills days prior, begging her to wake him by 7 a.m. for a critical business meeting. She overslept. I stressed repeatedly how vital this was. He claimed she promised faithfully, yet failed. When I asked why, she said she pitied me, wanted me to rest. In that moment, despair consumed me. You don't understand. Living with her meant never prioritizing what mattered. Every detail went wrong. Every plan collapsed. She dragged me down relentlessly. I snapped. I'd hit her before, but this time, when rationality returned, she was dead. Seeing her corpse only irritated me. Even in death, she burdens me. My life's ruined because of her. Netizens reacted with horror. Some branded him a demon. Others lamented how he'd wasted his potential. Many doubted his excuse. Could anyone truly kill over missed alarm clocks? After shock faded, I realized he was a demon, yet told the raw truth. Years ago, when Xuxian opposed their relationship precisely because their college entrance scores differed by 200 points. Despite ranking top 3 citywide, he chose a provincial university just to be with Jiang. During that violent outburst against him, when had roared, "You cannot tie yourself to someone who will always yank you backward." Back then, altering his application felt like defiance. True love. Their first breakup likely stemmed from subconscious recognition that Jiang anchored him toward decline. Pride made him blame his mother instead. Post-success, though haunted, he married me, a deliberate severing. But humanity defies logic. When she crossed continents to reclaim him, he lost sanity. Madness blurred memories of why they parted. After tearing down his walls, he believed he could salvage a sinking ship alone. Fate intervened. Her growing baggage accelerated his plunge. By the time investors fled and scandal engulfed him, he imploded. The unalarmed morning wasn't the trigger. It was the accumulation of her relentless weight. Fundamentally, he was monstrously selfish. Raised in a broken home, he'd weaponized their love against his mother early on. Perhaps he never loved Jiang, only the rebellion itself. Thus, when marriage exposed her as another oppressor echoing his mother's warnings, shame curdled into fury. Jiang could have escaped if she'd heeded my advice to call the cops sooner. But if she'd been capable of seeking help then, would she ever have driven cross-country to beg a man who'd already discarded her? The gears of destiny had turned long before, grinding toward this inevitable end. Thank heavens I'd disentangled myself.